Potter Burns Elementary School here in Pawtucket is a state-of-the-art elementary school, but just a few years ago, it was in dire need of repairs. For example, the steam boilers in the basement were so old from the early 1900s that they were taken out and given to the Newport Historical Society and are now on display as part of the Breakers Mansion tour.
And the need is there, right? So it's either you ignore the need or you fix the need. It's not like it goes away. Other problems go away. This school only gets older if you don't fix it.
If the pandemic taught us anything, it's that for most families, schoolhouses, not their own homes, are the best places to learn. But much like you wouldn't want your child sleeping in a bedroom that's crumbling around them, you wouldn't want them learning all day in a dilapidated classroom. For years, that truly has been the case in Rhode Island. Why?
The general public doesn't see inside the buildings, it's only the students, so sometimes the need is muted.
Rhode Island Department of Education Chief Operations Officer Mario Carreño explained for years there was a moratorium on school construction projects.
When we have recessions which come on and off, capital projects and maintenance are the first expenditures to go. So historically, that's the first thing gets cut.
Take, for example, Potter Burns Elementary School. In 2013, the ceiling collapsed in the basement.
And keep in mind, this school is almost 100 years old. We were very, very concerned. Safety is absolutely, paramount.
Band-aid job after Band-aid job, but no real renovations were made here or elsewhere until the public got involved after the state released its assessment of schools.
I think one of the big paradigm changes was in 2017 when we released a statewide assessment, which actually documented needs of every school in our state. It became very clear what our needs were, especially in Rhode Island, which documented over $3.3 billion in need. So tons of need that have been built up over an unprecedented period of time.
In 2018, Rhode Islanders voted in favor of a $250 million bond that would help communities fund renovation and replacement projects for their aging schools. Fast forward to February of 2022, and the Rhode Island Department of Education School Building Authority updated the public on how that money would all be spent by May of 2022. Here's how it works. Through a pay-as-you-go system, or pay-go, the state pays 15% of a project up front. But 15% of a project can mean something different for an affluent community like Barrington than it does for an underserved community like Central Falls that collects fewer tax dollars. In fact, the SBA was finding communities like Central Falls, Woonsocket, and West Warwick, which collectively enroll 9% of the state's students, got only 0.7% of the $250 million. So instead, the state agreed to pay 100% of their projects, 15% up front, and then 85% through equity adjustment. Additionally, in January, the state rolled out a separate Facility Equity Initiative program, which offered extra funding to the 5 most underserved communities in the state: Providence, Central Falls, Woonsocket, West Warwick, and Pawtucket. An example of that is Central Falls Calcutt Middle School, which got all new furniture and room upgrades with this Facility Equity Initiative. And in the pilot program's first year, an extra incentive. If at least 15% of the project was done by minority-owned businesses, the entire project was paid for by the state. Moving forward in the coming years, only an additional 10% of state aid will be rewarded to these communities for using minority-owned businesses.
From a public resource perspective, there's no better investment than school construction because you improve both educational outcomes but economic outcomes. So over this period of time, we're creating the equivalent of 30,000 full-time equivalent jobs. So it's a big industry, especially to our underserved local minority-owned businesses, which again, there's a state law that requires a certain amount of work there. So not only are we building communities and helping education, but we're also putting people to work. So it's a triple win.
Carreño said in the past few years, the bond money really has incentivized communities to focus on school building projects rather than other projects. And as a result, he said, construction companies are moving back to Rhode Island to set up headquarters again. Here's a look at some success stories recently. The new East Providence High School cost $195 million. Just over $95 million was paid for by state tax money through the bond and reimbursements. We also see it with the full renovations made to the once outdated Lincoln High School, which cost $60 million, as well as an $8 million new physical education center still in the works. About $4.5 million of that came from the pay-go funds, and a total of $33 million from state tax money in the form of housing aid reimbursements as well. This fall, every Rhode Island voter will be asked on the ballot if they want to approve the state spending another $250 million for school construction projects. Additionally, there's about $1.3 billion in municipal bond proposals for several communities. Warwick will be asking voters if they want to support city money paying for 2 new high schools. Middletown looking to spend some $235 million in total on all new schools and regionalizing with Newport.
I think since 2018, we are probably towards the top in the nation investing in our school facilities, which is a great story, something we've never been able to say before.
I'm Kait Walsh, 12 News.